thank you for joining. And if there's anything that you have in particular that you'd like to bring to the session in your awareness, any discomfort or something that you'd like to improve. I love Augie's screen share on expect miracles today. I love that. So we can all use a bit of that. I will talk a little bit about Virgo, the Virgo full moon. So when I'm talking about these polarities, maybe I will share that screen because it'll guide me. For me, when I'm looking at astrological polarities, it's an opportunity to to gain a little insight through comparison. So when we're looking at a polarity in astrology, we're really looking at two opposite signs. And so one way of looking at this is that for, let's say, Virgo, which is the 6th astrological house, the sign of the 6th house, which is really sort of the final house of self-development. And I've called them both service houses, and they are, but I think that'll probably come up a little bit in the session too. It's the final house in self-development. And one of the things that you can look at with all of the qualities, the analytical, detailed, practical, it's a very earthy, it's an earth sign, and analytical, the Mercury, the planet, the ruling planet is Mercury. So Mercury also rules Gemini, which is an earlier developmental phase when it comes to looking through the lens of the 12 houses. In Gemini, it tends to be more inquisitive and quick moving. Not to say it's not inquisitive in the 6th astrological house, but here we are. Essentially, when you're looking at the 6th house in Virgo, it's like, okay, so we've really just come out of the 5th astrological house of Leo, which is, look at me, and, experimentation and our personality and developing, but it's also there can be a bit of a recklessness with that energy. And so by the time we get to the phase of the 6th house, it's a real time of evaluation and reevaluation. It's like, oh, I'm kind of feeling this pain, and I kind of created a little bit of a mess in that area of my life because of these actions. So it really can be an opportunity for being reflective. So in that sense, it's like the last personal house. And then when we look at the opposite of that, the polarity, which is the 12th astrological house, the last phase of more of the universal aspects of our outward growth, it's also a house of completion. And it in a way, it's like the things that we have gathered up, we're ready to start to let go of and accept. So one of the things that I came across when looking at these polarities in my research was the serenity prayer, and particularly God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change and the courage to change the things that I can. And I think that this really does sum up these two energies. So acceptance is very much an aspect of Pisces. There is a quality of live and let live, and you are who you are. Whereas Virgo is very much about, I want to make a change. I want to improve and better myself. And so, the beauty of that, and then of course, the wisdom to tell the difference, it is, both of these energies really exalted. So sometimes with the Virgo energy, we can really get into the nitty-gritty and trying to understand and improve, but it can become excessively critical. And that is taking us into more of our intellect and out of the wisdom of our heart, and sort of taking us away from that piece of, okay, you know what, I need to accept this part of me or this part of life right now, and bring my attention to something else. So So it's really about bringing the wisdom of both of these aspects in. And I really just have to share this because the last week I manage, well, really, I manage my mom's affairs and my affairs, which there's a lot of irony in that personally, because I've never thought of myself as a good manager at all. So my karmic lesson is to end up managing things for everybody else in my family. But I'm laughing about it. But at the same time, you know, I did do some preparation for this a couple of weeks ago, knowing that I'd be taking that week off to do more of that intensive management. And because I was able to look at the Virgo Pisces energy, and particularly the Virgo energy, which I would say are not my strengths, that analysis, that attention to detail, as I progressed through the week of this very detail-oriented work, and also in not only organizing, you know, looking at all the detailed things that I needed to look at and organize and file. And I actually really had a great sense of gratitude for the wisdom that came before me. And what I mean with that is that when we're children, it's like, you know, clean up your room. Don't forget to brush your teeth. You know, make sure you get your homework done before you play, and all of these seemingly small rules, but that are very Virgo in nature, and why these rules are so important in that they are what give us, you know, the daily routines that support the opportunity for greater growth. And so it's like those lessons that I learned, frankly, from my aunt and my mom, the people that I'm sort of doing this work for, really came to the forefront in that. And I felt that gratitude, perhaps more of that wisdom, as opposed to in the past where I felt resistance and some resentment. Oh, I have to do this and all this thing. It really shifted for me. So I just wanted to share that because perhaps that's an experience that you've also shared. And so let's go into this session, because I just wanted to share that because I felt that it may inform the session in some way, but we never know when we go into the session what we're going to get. So, and I just saw Jan and Patricia have joined as well. So welcome. Okay, so if you are in a place where you can just be comfortable, that is always the ideal. And beginning with a few deep breaths, just to begin to center yourself and ground yourself. And I'm just going to have a sip of my water. So I'm going into Mindscape. And we're going right into the third eye chakra, the Ajna chakra, that is related to our pituitary gland, our insight, intuition, wisdom. So it's not that that's coming in for balancing, it's actually really sort of an umbrella or energy that is related to the first formula. And there's just a little more detail on that, and it's more specifically into the insight that our third eye chakra can offer. And so one of the other aspects that Virgo governs is health, and more particularly physical health. So historically, if you look at the stories associated with Virgo, it is the Virgin. And she often has herbs and flowers in her hands. And so, often it's like herbal medicine, but definitely more of the physical body. And so that is also what is coming in here. So it's insight in relation to our physical health and well-being. So first working at the physical level. And so within this, a permissions balancing comes up. So it's very much a permissions about healing at the physical level. And I'm getting even more specific with this permissions to heal at the physical level in the digestive area. So the digestive system. And I'm not going more specific in that, really that whole digestive system works very, very much ideally together. So it's coming up in that way. Okay, so the aspect that's coming in to help to shift this permissions or resistance within this physical healing aspect is guilt. And it is guilt in relation to food choices and beliefs about food. So there's something that comes into my mind. I'm imagining that many of you are familiar with Carolyn Meese, who's a medical intuitive and has written many, many books and is a great speaker. And one of the things that she said in one of her courses is that, if you're spiritually balanced and balanced in general, you can eat cat food and you will thrive. And so it's that coming up. It's this, the cultural forces and perceptions about our diet and health and our own personal beliefs and guilt about food and that relationship with food that is coming in for balancing here. So this comes in like an active memory, emotionally charged thread. And there is a parallel that's coming in to support this permissions balancing. And the parallel takes me into the fire element. So the two organs of the fire element. I mean, the fire element also governs the endocrine system, but the two organs that are coming in for balance are the heart and the small intestine. And so the small intestine is really ruled by the sixth astrological house and Virgo, really a lot of digestive system stuff. And the priority within this fire organ balancing is to harmonize the yin and the yang organs, the heart and the small intestine organs. And so further on this just is that, you think about it because they're both part of the fire element. The small intestine relates to our discernment. It's that kind of Virgo energy of, what's good for me and what do I want to let go of? And so being able to discern with food, so how beliefs may actually influence that and balancing that to the wisdom of the heart. So more acceptance and harmony with our external environment, that external environment encompassing food. Okay. So we're actually going to tap this permissions out, and the hand positions for this are over your heart and over your belly to represent that yin yang fire element balancing. So I'm just going to invite you to take deep breaths. You're most welcome to tap along with me with this. So you can tap over your head, tapping over your heart, and then tapping over your belly with deep breaths. So you may feel a little gurgling in your stomach. I just did, and I felt a nice shift with that. So still staying, I'm going to call it in the light of insight of the third eye chakra for the next formula. In the light of insight. Must be the Pisces energy coming in. Okay, so let's see what is next. Yeah, we have some circulation coming in as a priority. Circulation coming to the pancreas, and very much the physiological and physiological level. So the enzymes for digestion and the insulin release. So just supporting this with this circulation plugin. And there is a definition here of a feeling of being unsettled. So it initially came up as anxiety, but it's more detailed on that, is taking me into this unsettled quality. Oh yeah. So then what comes in is a satellite to that of the sense of subtle hearing, and then more specifically in that is the things left undone. Okay, so it's like, you've got your list, whether you write lists down or or your things that you planned on that day, that week, that month, that lifetime. So but what comes in with that is this unsettled, anxious quality in relation to, I need to get this done. And so that this sort of kind of thinking and the emotional propeller of this, and how this relates to your digestive system, particularly your pancreas, pancreas's ability to produce appropriate digestive enzymes and help to balance your blood sugar. So it's helping to really discharge that pattern of, or the pull of when something isn't done, it doesn't mean that it has to actually create this excess feeling of unsettledness, that it's like, okay, I'll get to it. So it's just a real grounding quality, balancing within that sense of subtle hearing. Okay, so this links to the upper small intestine, to your duodenum. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but if someone wants to correct me and be very Virgo, go ahead. But anyway, it's your upper small intestine. So the pancreas has a little a little tube that's where fluids like from pancreatic enzymes and digestive enzymes flow into that small intestine, along with it really meets the juncture from the liver gallbladder. So there's a real relationship here when it comes to your digestive abilities. And so there's something about this that we want to go into in this upper, even it's like more specifically into the very upper part of your duodenum. And so when I go into this, it becomes really going into the sensory, like the sense of touch within this area. So it's like it's felt sense, and it's, it's intuitive, it's felt sense, it's memory. So it's the nervous system, enteric brain, the memory of this area. And there's this, it's actually coming up as like an oversensitivity to help to balance this excess sensitivity within this this area of the duodenum. And so the emotion to be balanced in relation to the sensitivity is fear. And so the fear is a fear of, and it's going to be very specific for each of you, of being blamed, being judged, being criticized. It's like, so that kind of fear. So it's like I'm going very, very specific now, almost to what I'm seeing is the nerves that innervate your this area of your small intestine. It's like they look like little octopus pads. You know how octopus have all these little suction cups. And so it's like these nerves all have these little pads, and that is where this sensitivity is being balanced out, and how it's influenced the receptivity and balancing this fear and extra sensitivity within this, so that there's, again, it's just more of a bringing it into some harmony with less emotional triggers within this particular area for optimizing your digestive system, particularly in this area and in relation to the pancreas. So I need to put that in its own little package. Okay, so now I'm, when I'm in Mindscape, sometimes I'm working more at a visceral level, like a touch level, but what comes in now is the gallbladder. And when I go into the gallbladder, it's like the gallbladder is sort of jumping up and down like this. It's like not a happy little gallbladder right now. So I'm not sure what that's about, but I feel bad for the pancreas. So let's see how the gallbladder would like to get settled down a little bit here. So I mean, the gallbladder energy is very much an energy of movement and catalyst and motivation, and anger is one of its governing aspects. So none of these are good or bad; they're neutral, but it depends on, for us, what we're holding. So let's see how this little jumping bean gallbladder would like to be balanced. So what comes up is really a 5-element balancing within your gallbladder energy. And it's a natural cycle of the 5 elements. And then, but within the 5 elements and this 5-element balancing, I'm balancing the 5 senses of the gallbladder. But I need to do it through that, through the lens of the 5 elements, because we're really looking at the flow of chi, the natural cycle, not just within the gallbladder and gallbladder energy in your body, but within your whole body, and how that plays a role within that. So I'm just going to see if I need more specific details on this. Yeah, so that's the first aspect of the gallbladder balancing. The next aspect that comes in is actually to do a relationship balancing between the gallbladder and the pancreas. So we're looking at helping to bring some more harmony between these two organs and organ systems. And so when I bring that in as a balancing 5 senses through the 5 elements, and then into this gallbladder pancreas relationship, it's where you feel stuck. That's what's coming up. So where in your life you feel stuck, and so like frustrated, or like something you want to move forward in some way, but it's just like it just hasn't been moving. It could be, again, I'm not getting specific for you, because all of us are very individual in this sense, but it's like I can see the visual that comes up is your right foot just not being able to move forward. So that is what's helping, what's coming up within this relationship dynamic to help to balance that feeling of being stuck. And I'm also within that, it's like I can see as I want to shift this relationship. Oh, it's about shifting a relationship. It's about a relationship. So in your life, so it could be your relationship with yourself, but I feel like it has more to do with an external relationship that you have, and being able to actually start to shift that relationship in this from being stuck. And it may not be the whole relationship. Again, it may be one specific area that keeps playing out as a pattern that's coming in to really pivot. So there's a further definition on this, and the definition comes more from your the small intestine consciousness, or sort of body mind function, which is self-poisoning. And so within this that quality in the relationship, it's like the pattern of negative thinking about that comes in here, and how that negative thinking becomes self-poisoning. So it's really just bringing all of this together to kind of, I see it as like a, oh, when I say poison, it's like I see this mist coming up, and just really, I'm pulling this mist up and out, and how that's really starting to clear from this tension dynamic between these two organs, to start to bring more space and flow. Okay, so we're going to link all of this into your diaphragm, and we're going to tap this formula out. And I just want to find out, hand positions are over your power chakra, over your pancreas area, right in the upper middle area of your abdominal area. You can join me in tapping out. Nice deep breaths, please. And if you feel the need to just really breathe a few more times and continue tapping, if you feel that, just please go ahead. Okay. Sorry, I just have to close my door because my puppy just went outside. So I'm just going to bring forth a question. I was thinking about, again, that, Pisces, Virgo polarity. And so if Pisces gives us infinite possibilities, Virgo gives us the structure and discipline to implement, to move forward to those, right? So again, there's this, it's not to say that miracles don't happen, because they do, right? Sometimes. So from that Virgo lens, it's those small steps. But even in, we're talking about BodyTalk, for example, even a few different links can really create an entire shift. And so it's the small steps that can also create a monumental change. So 1 + 1 does not equal 2. The other thing that I was thinking about, or tapping into with the energies that we're working with, Saturn is within an hour of the full moon in Virgo. Saturn moves into Pisces. And so Saturn, I wouldn't say that Saturn's happy place is in Pisces, because Pisces is, the ocean, and Saturn is restriction and structure. However, I always think these archetypes are not fixed, right? They're stories. So, bringing in this kind of masculine, organized energy into the ocean of Pisces, I could see how some structure can benefit and ground, like, because Saturn is also sort of earthy, right? So it can provide perhaps a vessel for some of that ocean. And so there's a similarity in a way with Virgo as well, in that So as I was, doing a lot of these finances and organizing files last week, I started to realize that once I had created this new system for organization, the flow of my moving through that to find things was so much easier. And then that brought me into thinking about feng shui. And so, the principles of creating chi flow within our space that we live in, this harmonious movement. And, that the detailed oriented aspects of that and the mindfulness of that also brought up a lot of Virgo energy for me. But then ultimately, when we're looking at creating this space for the energy to flow, it's to support the intuition, the movement of creativity and flow. So there's just this really beautiful harmony in creating order for chi to move more freely. And as I was doing this, I was thinking that, how does that reflect in my inner world, in my physical and mental well-being? And so it's again creating more space for something new, for fresh air and fresh energy to come in when we begin to organize and order what's on the outside, how that can really reflect on the inside. So that's probably my preamble to the next formula. If there even is a next formula, I'm not sure. So I'm actually going to ask that as you're doing some deep breathing, imagining that your breath, that oxygen is so much more than oxygen, that it's actually energy, it's chi. And so that chi, as that moves into your body, is it moving freely? And is your posture supporting the free movement of that chi that you're bringing in from the environment to flow through and nourish and support your well-being? So with that breath and that chi moving through your body, imagining that, it moves into the lungs and then it moves into the blood, and that blood carries it all throughout your body into all your tissues and your cells. And so it's filling your body up with each breath. And so your physical posture, any tension, place that you're holding, tension, tightness, just to allow that breath and chi to move into that area for opening and creating new space and energy flowing. So that is our session for today. I kind of had a feeling, but I did want to share those thoughts with you because I felt that they were relevant to our theme today. So thank you, everyone, and happy full moon in Virgo. And I hope that this supports you in your journey moving forward. And thank you all so much for joining me.